Welcome to episode 39 of Confessions of an SEO. I'm your host, Carolyn Holzman. Congratulations, you have found the least tactical SEO podcast on the planet, although today I may be pushing the envelope again. But anything outrageous in the way of tactics is in here would be completely by accident. This is where you're going to find the people side of SEO. Agnostic information concerning SEO from someone who's been there on both sides, a brick and mortar business owner for over 28 years, making my own business, and now a reformed client SEO of 12 years, now a seriously seeking SEO researcher and tester. I'm not here to sell you. When it comes to client SEO, I believe deeply that the farmer and the cowboy should be friends, that there are mutual revenue opportunities when we understand each other's work better. So if you're an SEO, you can bask in an SEO oasis where your profession is respected. And if you're a business owner or a C-suite executive working with an SEO marketing group, I hope you hear something that will both illuminate a greater understanding and respect for the SEOs that you're working with. Welcome, and thank you for sharing a little bit of your time with me. I so appreciate everyone's messages and emails, and I hope that if you like the show and you want more of this show, please hit the subscribe button. And leave your written reviews, if you would, on whatever platform you expect Confessions to be when you're ready to listen. Telling me is great, and God knows that it makes me feel special. But telling others is exponentially helpful. Also, last week's episode, the new SEO KPIs, I have a few more SERP volatility scans I can run, so message me on LinkedIn, Twitter, if you're in IMG, or you can email confessions@americanwaymedia.com with your keyword. And if you want to, but have no idea of what I'm talking about, listen to episode 38, where I go into more detail about what new KPIs we've discovered. And I also want to update you on the Google Index Detector, or as I'm calling it, my Google Stakeout. Now, I'm not saying your site isn't getting indexed. What I'm saying is, based on a relatively new domain, new content, both simple HTML and JavaScript. Now, JavaScript requires a more complex rendering on Google's part. That's an arid desert right now. And Search Console is sad. There was something this past week that made me think that really this whole project is like a trust but verify proposition. So Google reported that they have a delay in reporting in Search Console of about 4 to 5 days this week. Well, guess what? The data I'm collecting shows that for about 5 days this past week, there was something that did not happen. If you want to find out what it was, you can go. No, I'll tell you. Basically, there were 5 days where there were no Google bots at all. And I can tell this because I'm tracking it. And for the first time in a while, earlier in the week, the bots were behaving just like Google tells us they should. And that was a new behavior I was noticing in the bots, that they work off the robots.txt file. Now, this means that the bot came to the site and did what they call a get, like show me what you got, of the robot's text file. And then a desktop and then a mobile Google bot came and it got or requested the new page, the URL of the new page. Now, if you don't know what a robots text file is, that's basically a thing, it's a file that lives in your hosting. I don't want to go too deep into that, but if you don't know what that is, that's something that every site should have. All right? So what I love about all of this information is that it sort of confirms what I'm seeing. And you don't even have to take my word for it, because you can see it too. You can check out the page where I publish this data daily. It's americanwaymedia.com/Google-index-detector. Or you can just search the phrase Google Index Detector. I think now it's number one in this past week or so, and pushed SEMrush, what do they call it, SEMrush or SEMrush, right off that number one spot. And yes, I acknowledge I get more joy out of that fact than I should. All right, and I'd like to welcome listeners from Bullhorn. I'm glad you're here. I found out this week that the people behind Free Conference Call, which have launched an app called Bullhorn, it's their podcast solution, and part of what attracted me was the ability to have call-ins. And there's also an app. It's bullhorn.fm. You can find confessions there, and you can listen offline. Carolyn says, what? So as I learn more how to interact with Bullhorn, it might be special content, part of confessions, but who knows? It could be even, some supporter-funded content. I don't know yet. So stay tuned. It's a never-ending world of podcasting joy. All right, so let's get back to why you're really here. Today's episode, I'm calling Testing versus Testing. And I have some news in the world of SEO testing. And if you're a business owner, what I'm about to share, this can help you understand what questions to ask your SEO company when they say something needs to be tested. I promise you'll learn something as well as the SEOs who are listening. So if you've ever wanted to be an SEO tester, to be mentored by a group of active SEO testers, now is the time. Over in IMG, that's Internet Marketing Gold, you can find it if you want to check it out. What they are. There's a short, I'll put this in the description, but basically if you're familiar with bit.ly links, it's bit.ly/ and then there's always something at the tail end. So if you do that and you put SEO testers, all one word at the end of that, you can check it out. Now, to be eligible to be a part of this group, you must first be a member of IMG. And if you check that out, you'll see there's an entire library of SEO training, kind of like they call it Netflix, but for SEO. You can find beginner to intermediate to advanced training in there. And you'll definitely get value out of the membership, even if you decide testing is not for you. And from there, all you have to do is publish your first test and you're in. Now, you do have to, moving forward, publish future tests to maintain your status. In exchange, you'll be comped your membership. Plus, did I mention that there are cash prizes? Come check it out. Yes, I too am an award-winning tester. So if you're a member and you reach out to me, which you can do super easily once you're in there, look for my name. I'll introduce you to the gang and to Ted Kubitis, who is shepherding the testing incubator. But let me also say that you don't have to be part of a group to test, but the value of learning from our mistakes and benefits from the advances we've learned in the last 5 years of testing, actually 6 years of testing, it's a sweet deal. And it's only open for a little while, so if you miss this enrollment period, well, it wasn't meant to be, but you can always join. So, if you are asking, well, what does it mean to be an SEO tester? Let me say that's a fair question. And not everybody is cut out to be a tester. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time explaining what that is and what it is not. Back in the day, by the way, this is be a quick story, and it's related completely to what we're going to be talking about, but it illustrates the need to be precise so that we all know what we're talking about. Okay, so when I was in the CD, DVD, retail, production world, there was a word that was literally used for so many different things, but they were related, but very different items. And it began to be so ubiquitous that for any newcomers, anybody who was recording or publishing and needing CDs or DVDs, they would believe that they knew what was being talked about, and so certain that they understood it that they were unaware of when in the production process that same word took on a different flavor. And for the most part, the people that that were not aware of it changing. They lived, obviously, in a conversation full of assumptions. And in that world, when people were manufacturing 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 pieces or more, that kind of assumption had the potential to get very expensive. Ouch. Now, I'm certain that I annoyed so many prospects and first-time clients by seemingly repeating what previously I was talking about and what in their experience they were sure that they knew. Sometimes correcting them, I just would sort of blame my production mindset that, in order for me to answer whatever question about price or turn time, I needed to make sure we were talking about the same thing. So it doesn't matter what the word was. It was just that the uninitiated were so into assumption that it was also something I could recognize they were going to go in a different direction and then likely blame my company for not warning them. Now, when it comes to the testing that I'm talking about, we're not talking about a production error or anything like that, but the flavors of different types of testing. And testing is part of SEO, just a part of a normal SEO experience. But that is not always SEO testing. There are two types of testing that often get confused with each other in SEO. Now, I'm talking about SEO testing where we're testing the behavior of the search algorithm on a test with control pages. And A/B testing, which is often used on like email campaigns or live money sites where one version of something is shown to one group of prospects or visitors and a second version is shown to the other half of the group. And then the response results are compared and analyzed. Now, every time I've used the term testing here on Confessions, it's within the realm of SEO testing. Does something help index a page? That means get it into where people can find it by its keyword. Does something boost a page? Does that mean it pushes it up higher in the search results? Could we determine, for instance, if site speed is a ranking factor? You really want to be a member of IMG if you want to find the answer out to that. So what question are we trying to tease an answer or part of an answer out of Google? That's basically what we do. Now, all the findings, even if we find whatever it is or was by using what's often referred to as gibberish words, the principle of the test can be applied to a live money site without, if it's something good, it can be used, and I'll leave that there. So now, if you're a tester or you're wondering if testing is for you or not, I would recommend you pay attention to what happens when things go wrong. Not what did you do wrong per se, but what if the experiment, say, got unexpectedly spoiled, either because there was something we didn't know before it happened or something from the outside snuck into it. So no matter how sucky it feels, if you didn't know something before and now you do, that learning process that I just described is how you develop stamina, both as an SEO and as an SEO tester. Things like messing up your keywords. I would be a liar if I told you that didn't happen to me. Or like when an update started rolling out right in the middle of your test and it gets spoiled. I refer you back to April 2020. So just this week, as an example, I was talking with a fellow tester who had published 100-page test. 100 pages for her test. And after she did so, she found out that something on the site did something that introduced a secondary factor into the test that isn't supposed to be there, that could confuse the findings. Okay, she was pissed off, to say the least. And she processed it, learned something new to look out for, and came up with a way to deal with it and not completely trash the entirety of her test, nor her desire to continue to test. Now, that's what a tester looks like. So, what happens when you make it all the way through, you do run your test, and you publish the test within the group. Test results are presented twice a month to the group of testers. Anybody can come to the show, but generally it's those that are the sort of die-hard testers are the ones that show up at every show. And questions can be asked from anybody who's there. That's what peer-reviewed means in this particular example. And boy, is it fun when you get all the way through it and someone points out something that might also explain your findings. And well, you begin to nurse those bruises and bandage those cuts. You might take a day or two off, but then you're going to come back at it again. I remember one of the first tests I shared, and I'll be honest with you, it's a little nerve-wracking when you don't know everybody at first. But that faded into the background, and you start to find your own testing legs. It literally is all good. What still surprises me is that failed tests are sometimes the most educational. Sometimes in poker, you think you have a losing hand, and if you play in the certain games, the dealer, if they can see that you actually won, they'll point it out to you. And I honestly think one time I may have won on what was on the surface something I considered a failed test. And that's the kind of learning that is possible with SEO testing, which is why it's so valuable to have others look at your data and peek under the hood. You don't know what you're missing. So hopefully that explains what SEO testing entails. There are so many questions that have yet to be tested. I mean, it's a seriously long list and grows exponentially every day. And we're way past the testing from in 2015 when we were mostly trying to test out the more powerful keyword zones. Hell, we were even trying to find all the keyword zones. So there's a whole lot more, and if you really, really want to go deeper into SEO, there's no better way to do it, in my opinion, than by testing. So we're going to stop here today. Thank you for listening. Appreciate receiving your questions and comments. Remember, you can send anything to confessions@AmericanWayMedia.com. And again, just want you to say, this whole type of content comes out of the SEO testing community. So I really want to thank you for subscribing to the podcast wherever you're listening to it. And if you haven't done so yet, please do. And let your friends know about Confessions. If you want to share it with colleagues or business owners, just copy the URL of the episode. And it's on Audible. If you haven't settled on one source for your podcast, though, you can just Google Confessions of an SEO. You can't miss it. We all stand to make more business and success together when both the SEOs and the business owners understand each other better. It's been my pleasure to be your host today. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the SERPs.